What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Crab Net Show. On today's episode, we're unpacking a great week of football from the Premier League, and we're focusing on two of the teams that shone brightly in the first game week, that being Everton and Newcastle. We're looking at the impact of their signings on their victories over the weekend. That's our first segment for today. Our second segment is talking about the media. The media has had a huge impact on the football world over the years. We'll get the resident analyst's opinion on what does the press influence the football scene across Europe, but focusing on the English Premier League. That's our second segment. And our third segment, maintaining the excitement from last week, fantasy football continues. We analyze the best players of game week 1 and who to look out for in game week 2 as you prepare your teams. A fun show in store for all of you. Thanks again for joining us on the net. I'm your host Raj, and it's been an exciting, exhilarating last few days with English football back on all of our screens. I've got two of our resident analysts with us today. And we're chatting football again, and Juliet from the boys, straight from the streets of South Africa, bringing fresh opinions as we always do on the Crab Net. But introducing the team, Gur is with us again. What's happening, Gur? Welcome to the net.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to be back.
Shot, Gur. Always love having you. Shay is missing this week, but our homie Kai is loud and proud. What's up, Kai?
What's up, guys? Excited the league's back, man.
Shot, and definitely excited with a great victory for your boys to start off the season. And that's taking us straight into the first topic for today, boys. We're recording on Tuesday, the 15th of September, just a few days, or actually just a day after game week 1 was completed with a Chelsea victory. We saw some of their stars shine brightly, the likes of Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. But two of the teams that really did well over this weekend was the likes of Everton and Newcastle. And that's where we're going to start in terms of today's show. And Gert, to start with you, I know two of the teams that we're speaking of today, Everton and Newcastle, they were on your radar last week. You mentioned them in our fantasy segment. What did you think of the performance by Everton to start off with? A great performance by Carlo Ancelotti and the Everton team with many new signings. What were you thinking when you watched them take a victory against a strong team this weekend?
They played well, and I mean we have to stop speaking down Spurs and start saying how well Everton played. Mm-hmm. It was a team that, so every season they come with a player or two, and you expect this, and then they fail. And then you just always expect them to just be that mid-table team. But it finally clicked, and they've got the right. Look at the position that they had and the creativity that they had in the middle of the field, with bringing in James in, as well as Allen. Yeah, and I mean, the way they pass, it's next level, and you take the whole team out. So that's why I mean, like Calvert-Lewin even seeing, because the whole team will play well, and that's your core, the midfield. So he's strengthened in the right place, and I mean, Ancelotti is a good manager too. So I'm gonna see this team doing well whole season.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned
top 4.
I think so. I agree with you, and the reason why I think Everton is going to do really well is they found a style of football that suits many of their players. And Kai, I want you to give us your thoughts here. Gur mentioned something very important. Everyone spoke about Spurs playing badly, but Everton dominated that match. Possession-based football, creativity in the midfield, speed on the attack. What did you look at the Everton team to be the main influence in their victory over Spurs this weekend?
Yeah, I think Saga just touched on that one. They've got good players now that that are performing together. Previously, they buy good players and they just fall off. They buy a few players that always have something lacking. And I think it also boils down to the fact that Carlo is there. He's this guy. I mean, he's a Champions League winning manager. He's won numerous trophies over the years, and I think that's what you get with Ancelotti in this Everton side. He's the guy that will take them to the next level. So, I mean, as we said, they've always had good players, but the tactics that Ancelotti brings in just brings them to the next level. And just going into how they played, right? So, I think Saga missed out his favorite player there, man. But Decore was actually the guy for me that did the most for Everton.
The chief ostrich, but he did really well in that game.
Exactly.
Always plays well. That's why he was my pick, man.
Yeah. So he broke a play and he just made sure that the Spurs midfield could not do anything. Actually, they can't really do anything, but this guy just made sure that they couldn't, right?
Yeah.
And then you had Richarlison and James just, marauding down the wings there, and just supplying the ball to pinpoint passes were getting there to Calvin, and after the match he actually said, he was like, these guys just put the ball there and I'm here waiting to put it in. And this is it. So it's free flowing football all the way from the back all the way to the front. And to be honest with you, as much as that team is playing so well, you touched on that as well. Spurs played pathetically. I don't think I've seen that. As much as I have so much of hatred for Spurs, I haven't seen them play that badly in such a long time. It feels like that defense don't know what they're doing. I mean, they brought good defenders in. I mean, Doherty is also one of Saga's picks, and he's a brilliant player. But he just was not playing in the positions that he should be playing. And I think Everton capitalized on all of that. And just going back to Everton, I think the flaw that they have there is actually the guy that scored. I think Calvin is not good enough for that team anymore.
You think so?
To replace him.
So?
Yeah. I don't. So he's
maybe
in years gone past.
Because
so in years gone past, he was the guy that came in.
He's quick. He's got height on his side as well. Why do you
that's
think
the thing?
He's not worth the stripes as a number 9 for Everton?
So I'm not saying that he's not a bad player. I'm saying he's not the perfect player for where Everton want to be.
Yeah.
So for them to get to the next level, I don't think he's going to bring what they need. I mean, if you look at, just look at that front line. You got Richarlison on one side, and you got James, and you got Allen and Decore in the middle of the park.
And let's not forget,
just doesn't
Gomez,
fit in.
Andre Gomez had a great game in midfield, ex-Barca player. So they've got some real talent on that field right now. In terms of what you're looking at Everton's ambitions, you spoke about challenging for top 4. Do you think they realistically can outmuscle the likes of your boys, United, maybe even Arsenal? We saw Chelsea dominating. Does Everton really have a shot this season, or is it a stepping stone to get back into the top 6 being their ambitions?
Definitely have it. I mean, there's nothing stopping them. They've got the recipe for it. They've got reasons to justify why they can set their ambitions that high. And they just have to carry on with a run of good form. I mean, we see teams coming up a season or two that usually hang around in the mid-table. And it's just because it clicked that season. And I mean, I'll back it. I'd say Everton were definitely challenging for top. I mean, the likes, I've been saying it over the years, for Wolves when they first came through, Burnley, they're at least sitting, top 7.
Yeah. And for sure, I think what you're saying is with these new signings, they've got all the potential. And I think it is only game week 1, but they've laid down a marker with these new signings, the likes of James, Doucouré and Allen. But speaking of laying down a marker, Steve Bruce and Newcastle United also laid down a mark with some great signings there, Kai. The likes of Jeff Hendrick and Callum Wilson, both new signings, both getting on the score sheet, getting a 2-0 victory over West Ham away from home. What are your thoughts on that Newcastle performance?
So, Wilson, I've been a fan of this guy for a long time. When Bournemouth first got promoted and he was the highest goal scorer in the championship, that was a guy that I liked when he came up. So when he went to this Newcastle side, I expected him to do well. Also put him in my fantasy team. And Hendricks, he's also a good player. You forget Ryan Fraser as well is also in that team. That's probably
he was on the bench.
Yeah, also going to come in soon. And I think Fraser and Wilson have had good chemistry when they both came from while they were playing at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So you can probably expect the same thing there at Newcastle for them. As much as they're good players, as much as I think those are very good signings, West Ham has been a poor team towards the end of last season, also breaking into this season. They've also got a lot of injury. They played pathetically. So just like how Everton and Spurs, I think Newcastle also capitalized on the fact that West Ham were just not, a cohesive team. And I think going to the next level and speaking about whether they can build on from this, I don't think so. Steve Bruce is one of those managers that just gets you staying up. And I think that's what he will always achieve. But I don't think they would even break into the top 6, top 8. For me, they're still going to be in the 10s.
Yeah, I guess their ambitions are not aligned to what we speak about Everton. And good to get your thoughts there. Kai is obviously saying that Newcastle are on the way up, but maybe not as ambitious as Everton. But a lot to be happy about for the guys at the Toon Army. We saw a good performance by the young signing Jamal Lewis at left back as well. Clean sheet for that Newcastle team. What were your thoughts when you saw the victory as well as the performance that Everton had? Was it a case of West Ham being horrible or did Newcastle show up a bit?
Newcastle. Yeah, so these are two of my favorite teams besides United. It's West Ham and Newcastle. So I tried to make it to watch most of the Newcastle matches as well as West Ham when I can. Really excited for the build-up of it. Nice way to start the Premier League off. So being an avid fan of these two teams, I watched them coming up from Championship recently. And that's what you spoke about, is that they obviously the ambitions are different. They still want to have a Premier League long-term plan, and then hopefully with a few purchases here and there, a few small cups here and there, and then in a long-term plan, then they can go for ambitions as like top 4. That's what you want to see of it. Any club, that's a successful club.
Yeah, and so, I think
I was very happy. Let's talk about the game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for any team any of these pretenders to try and get into the top 4, top 6.
Yeah.
I must also remember United, Arsenal, Chelsea. This is probably the worst we've done in years, And all these teams have strengthened. So like we saw Wolves and Sheffield pick up a few positions in the table. I don't see that happening for another season, to be honest with you. The likes of Newcastle, Everton, Sheffield United, these guys are going to drop. They're going to drop badly, and some of them might even get relegated, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. But the one thing that was positive about this past weekend, we're speaking about Everton, we're speaking about Newcastle. You just mentioned Wolves as well. There's a lot of good football teams outside the top 6. We saw Leicester also get a good victory again. So challenging this top 6, challenging the league, it's clear that we've got another very competitive season ahead for all of the clubs in the Premier League, and that's why it's the best league in the world. So we wanted to bring attention to these smaller clubs in this segment, and I think we've shown that the likes of Newcastle and Everton are going to have good seasons ahead with the signing. So let's see how they go, and definitely we'll be speaking a lot about the likes of the top 4, our boys, Liverpool's, United's, Arsenal's, but these guys deserve a mention after a great performance. Yeah, boys. That was our football season, but we wanted to take a second segment a little bit off the field, and that's where we bring in the media, and we've seen it over the last 3 to 4 weeks where we were on the end of season break, and the media really plays a huge impact in the football scene. So we want to have a short conversation about that. And both Gur and Kai, I know you guys have strong opinions on the media's influence. As I said, listeners, we're recording today on the 15th of September, and we saw a very elaborate media celebration by Arsenal after Oba signed his new contract, Kai. Exciting media reveal to call it. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on the media impact on the club, but also on the football world as a whole? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, today was good, man. They had us on Tinder hooks. During the day, Arsenal Twitter account released this. Tweeted, keep your notifications on, and this is happening from the entire day. And then at 5 o'clock, I received this actual notifications on Instagram and Facebook and all of that. Log in, and I see just this table with a pen and a captain's armband. It's done.
And let's not forget the hourglass.
The hourglass, and then obviously you saw that with the Black Panther mask come on after that, So we all knew that it was Aubameyang that was signing, but I mean, what you're probably trying to get at is it's long-winded and it's drawn out. By the time that these guys even do announce these things, we already know that they signed up, I mean, at the end of the day, it's good for football. At the end, this is an entertainment. It's an entertaining sport or whatever. You want to see these type of things, and I think all of these media outlets and even the clubs themselves, they've got something good behind it, right? They want to create this excitement, they want to create the entertainment, but there's just so much of social media and everything around, and these supporters have so much of access to information. It's difficult to keep those secrets anymore. When we first signed Aubameyang, there were fans that actually tracked the flight path for him landing in London. They checked what cars he was driving to get into near the stadium and all of these things. So we already had pictures of this man entering the stadium before before it was even announced. As I said, there's just too much of access to information and social media at this stage.
And I guess to an extent, we've covered this in a few of our previous episodes. The commercialization of the football scene plays a big impact in the media's role. And Gara, I want to get your thoughts on this one. Just this weekend, after Spurs had a horrible defeat to Everton that we spoke about, one of the things that Jose Mourinho said is he's happy that the Amazon cameras are not there anymore. And that obviously talks to the media appeal that even the likes of Amazon felt that they could get content, behind the scenes content, on the training pitch content that would be valuable and be able to commercialize that. Does the media influence have just too much of influence over the football scene now that we're seeing the likes of Amazon getting behind the scenes footage of training sessions at football clubs?
Too much. I think, football is nice to have as part of your life, but I mean, they want to now fill every aspect of your life up. Football.
But remember, you are a football fan as well, so tell me if you don't enjoy that content.
No, I don't. I tell you, it's too much information. I don't want to know these players on a personal level. I don't know their family stories, what they hear about their dog dying, all the stories. No, I'm playing on the field. And this is you lose that respect for certain players. You just it's right to humanize them. They are just humans, but I just feel like it's too much. They're just going into avenues that are unnecessary.
Hey, I'm the opposite, man. I'm the opposite.
But then the thing is, they make you become obsessed with it.
No, I mean, I've been like this way for a long time, probably because I'm such a big fan of it. But football is different to other sports. You don't have that access to certain parts of the game. All you see from these players is the football. You don't know what's happening
You
in
see
transfer
them. You see
negotiations.
them once a week. That's all you see them.
Yeah, that's
once
it.
a week for 90
You don't
minutes.
see what's happening in transfer negotiations. You don't see, off the pitch things. You don't get involved in the nitty-gritties of things like how you would with other sports. I mean, even with cricket and all of it, you see selections, you see all of those things. With F1, you see the qualifying.
It's nice to know to
races.
keep up with news, and that's news. That's fine. I mean, I love reading sports news, but I mean, all these heavy, like watching a documentary every now and then is like a. But the thing is, they cover every aspect of their dating life, their social life, and look at now this Mason Greenwood and Foden got boppered for something. Fair enough, there was heavy rules in place. We were trying to stop a pandemic and stuff. But I mean, a few years ago, all the licenses were doing this. Remember, Ronaldo and Nani and Anderson also got involved for the same thing. But that's news was just like, hey, well done, lads, well done.
So that's where I agree with you. I'm not saying that I want to hear about these guys' personal issues. What I'm saying is I want to hear more about the football side of football, of my team. Those kind of things. I want more information, and I always want more information.
And that's exactly what the All or Nothing documentary with Spurs was about. It was about behind the scenes in the football world. But I hear you, Gar. I hear you very clearly, and I think the listeners out there.
I haven't watched it.
I think the listeners would agree, and maybe we don't realize. You mentioned a very key point. These guys are still humans. Mason Greenwood, Phil Foden, 18, 19 year olds. The guys just want to get lucky. But they are professional footballers. They are English national team footballers. They are role models to kids. So they are in the spotlight, which means anyone who's got that fame will address media attention. And that type of media attention.
That's the other part.
That's in any sport. At the end of the day, these guys will always be role models for kids and just fans in general. You want them to live up to the brands that they are being endorsed by. You want them to live up to the name of those football teams that you've been supporting that have centuries of longevity. So for me, that comes with the title of being a footballer. You have to live up to those expectations.
And to an extent, the media makes or breaks their career beyond football as well. You mentioned it comes to sponsorships, and we saw recently Neymar has signed a new deal with Puma worth almost 18 million euros. So if you do live a role model life, if you do have aspirations to live a wealthy life post-football, the media is something you need to be concerned about as a footballer. But as you say, sometimes you need to consider whether you want that path or all the attention it comes in your personal life outside the football pitch. Hagar?
Yeah, that's I'm with you there 100%. The thing is, and then you become so involved in it, and you start, your perspective of the player changes, your perspective of the team changes. When, like, also I like to keep up with the financial status of clubs and stuff, but to know the nitty-gritty details of the person who's financing this deal and what their life is about and their background, and it's gone too much.
Yeah,
and I mean that's what journalism has become. That everyone wants a piece of the pie, so they're all digging into what they can.
Yeah, and that's the pressure that you get from being a footballer off the pitch. Then there's the pressure that you get on the pitch, Kai. And a very well-known or talking point over the last few weeks is the impact of the cost of a player on the pressure that they are put under to perform well. And a good example is Chelsea's goalkeeper, Kepa Arrizabalaga. I said that correctly, Arrizabalaga.
Yeah, you did, man.
The most expensive goalkeeper in world football. A few errors here and there. And now media scrutiny is all over the place about Kepa. Is that media attention maybe causing certain footballers to not fulfill their talent?
Okay, so about that price tag, I think let's start with that, right? So the price tag that what it was 70 million something that they paid Chelsea, right? They lost their first team keeper to Madrid Hotel, and they were obviously touting Alisson, which they never got, and last minute they had to buy a keeper, and the guy that was available was Kepa, and they had to pay this fee, and we all know that fee was exorbitant. He's not the skills that he has does not fit the price tag that he came with, right? First thing. Now, this is where most of these expectations on these footballers come from. Their price tags, right? So when they come into the Premier League, especially because of the media and all of those things that we just discussed, they come with these high price tags, and then you do have this pressure. In his case, it's undue pressure because he can't live up to those expectations. But for me, on the other hand, if you come to the league or wherever, EPL in this situation, if you come to the league for a high price tag with expectations that you can fulfill because you've come with with credibility and all of these things, you should have the media attention on you. You should be the one performing. I don't care if you feel that it hurts your feelings and all of those things. If you come with the expectations to perform for your club, like Pogba, let's use Pogba as an example. Right? This guy had the skills. He came with a high price tag. He should be performing week in, week out. Right? The media attention that he received at the time when he took a dip at United, it's called for. And I completely agree with it. Sometimes these guys go a bit overboard, and that is what Saga was trying to say before. They're trying to sell magazines and papers and all of those things.
The commercial
but the pressure for me is there. It should be there. These guys are getting paid in excess of £200,000 a week. They should have the pressure. This is a short career. It's high intensity, and with that comes the salaries that you're receiving. So you need to be able to withstand it, man. It's not a sissies game.
Yeah, for sure. And listeners, you can hear it from our resident analysts. It's very clear the media has a huge impact on the football scene. And if you want to be a successful footballer, it's a occupational hazard. It comes with the job. You need to be able to get through the bullshit that comes with the media, live the life that needs to be lived as a professional footballer, as a role model. And you can be successful, but you still can live a good life because you're doing what you love. So that's where we leave it with the media side of the football, boys. Good talking about something that's off the pitch sometimes. But back to on the pitch, and one of our favorite segments is the fantasy football. We all were in lots of hesitation and anxiety about picking our teams for game week 1, and we got to analyze that game week 1 on the fantasy scene, boys. Looking back at the past game week, we saw some stellar performances by some common names in that dream team, Kai. Someone that obviously stands out is Mo Salah with that hat-trick. My boys getting the victory over Leeds. Salah showing his worth again. Probably didn't make many teams because of his price tag, but been proven wrong again.
Yeah, I mean, Salah, we know his worth in the league. He's done it. You know, when he did it that first season that you guys got him and what he scored in excess of 40 goals, whatever, I was like, he's not going to do it again. And then he did it again the following season. And now it's a norm for Salah to be scoring goals all the time. Towards the end of last season, I thought that he tailed off. I don't think he performed well, and that's probably due to the fact that Liverpool were at the beach. And even in pre-season, he didn't play very well either. So as much as I didn't want to put him in my side, I still opted to put him because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still Salah. But he came to the party, man. And for me, I also had Aubameyang. I captained him instead of Salah for that very reason that I just explained. And I think that's what kept me from not being in the top 2, top 3 in my leagues. It's that captain 20 points that I lost that kept me probably in the top 5, top 6 in most of the leagues. So he's definitely a guy to have in your team. I don't know if I'm going to keep him any longer, to be honest with you, though.
Oh,
I think this was, you know, even in this game, in the game against Leeds, that you guys obviously came out tops on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he played well, but I don't think he was getting into the positions that I actually expected him to get into. So,
okay. So
I might actually put him out until you guys play West Ham. But I'm toying with the idea.
Yeah,
obviously.
That's a risk strategy there, Kai. If you putting money against Salah, it could come back to bite you. But on the flip side, we saw 2 new signings get into the dream team in game week 1. 2 boys that you backed, being Arsenal's Willian with 3 assists, and Leicester's right back or full back, since he can play on both sides, Castagna. Both of them scoring 14 points in game week 1. Are they ones to watch, ones to get into your team after game week 1 potential?
Definitely. I mean, I mentioned it before, and you that's what you want from a new signing, is to get off the mark from the get-go. Debut goal, the whole career path is different, and that's what they did. I see there's nothing to defeat their confidence.
Gabriel also got a debut goal.
I was going to say that. So this guy is going to be the next Thiago Silva. That's
Yeah. So in fantasy, the guys showed you what they want from these teams, the new boys, because it's always scary to back a new boy playing fantasy. You don't know how whether they're going to click or whether they're not. Sometimes the gamble works out if you get them from the get-go, but I mean, while their prices are low, because these guys are going to be going up in price, especially Callum Wilson. I mean, we've seen how Newcastle played, so there's no reason for you to not have it.
Yeah, looking at
Williams already got a price increase, huh?
Yeah, Williams already increased on price, and I believe there was also another increase that it was effected today. I can't remember what it was, but clearly the price impact is something that everyone needs to consider in the next few days. Lots of people will be running to make changes to their team now, going into game week 2, with the likes of Man City and Manchester United coming into the game week. So, Kai, who are you looking at in the City team to be a must-have going into game week 2?
So, you know, when we had that last segment about fantasy going into the season, right? I told you guys, make the bold moves up front and play the wild card early if you need to. So my tactic is always to, you know, put players that are playing. So I may only had one risk. When I say risk, I'm saying the player that I don't think that would don't know how he's going to perform. I've always told that to you guys. It's a risk for me. Was Werner? He got an assist. He got injured. But the rest of the players that I have in my team are stalwarts in their teams, right? So I don't even know if I'm going to make any changes. I want to see City and United play before I can say that I'm going to make those moves.
Are you really going to go into a game week without any Man City and Manchester United players?
Yeah, I'm doing that. The reason that I'm saying that is because
moves by the Ganakai.
The reason that I'm saying that is, look here, at the end of the day, you might lose 20, 30 points now in the beginning, but I'm saving on price increases or not price increases. I'm saving on getting in players that I might get out in the next game week, and might come at a knock. So I'd rather evaluate the teams as best as I can, all of the teams. It was a disservice that we obviously didn't see City and United play yet. But I want to evaluate the teams to my full potential first before I can get them into my side.
I guess that's fair.
I know you asked me the question, what am I going to do? What am I going to do is nothing.
Nothing. Good. I feel that you're not going to land to that thought. I think the likes of Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, but remember,
Yeah,
likes of Kevin
Gil
De
is about
Bruyne.
10 positions under us. Eh?
No, but I mean from a
But look at his
strategy
position.
Yeah, bro.
from a strategy perspective.
Well, I'm not playing for game week 1 now. Kylan just went and spoke about the 20, 30 points that you will lose over the next few game weeks and stuff. That's you thinking long term, but yet you set up your team for the first game week, you know? And it's more than that. So you got to have your eggs in different baskets. There's no point having 2-3 players from a certain team because the fixtures for the first game week or two may be in your favor, but then the rest, you're going to struggle to get those big names in your team because you're only willing to let go of your ostriches in the first place. Like, let's take, for example, maybe people put in Salah for the first game week and said, hey, you know what, I'm going to drop Salah, go for De Bruyne in the second game week. They didn't expect a hat-trick to come, and now they're contemplating.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold on to
that's
Salah.
exactly me.
You're going to miss out on De Bruyne. So, yeah, that's how it is. And I see it happening on all the leagues. I'm very happy with my team. Yeah, I've only pulled in a 50-something points, but I'm happy. I mean, I had Fernandes on the bench.
Yeah.
So I've still got I've got fixtures coming up. I'm happy with the team, and the players that I have, I'm not willing to let go of it.
But I guess game week 1 also gave you a good indication of who's the good bargain buys. I spoke about the other price rise. That was Patrick Bamford. He got goals against Liverpool this game week 1 and priced at 5.5, now 5.6. Is it worth taking a -4 or -8 card to bring in one of these bargain buys that we've seen over the game week 1?
Well, it depends. If you want to get in those bargain buys to get in the likes of De Bruyne or Sterling or Bruno, then that makes sense. But I wouldn't bring in those players just for a hit. I mean, and take a hit. I mean, even Bamford, right? You don't know if he's going to even start that next game. You've got Rodri there that will come in to that side. High-profile signing, ready to come into that side. Apparently, Bielsa always trust these players for a certain amount of time, and that's what he's probably doing with Bamford. So
player-wise, I mean, using Bamford as an example, but there could be other bargain buys. Someone like Mitchell at Crystal Palace. He's shown he's a starter at 4.0. If you didn't have him in your team, you
at the moment.
Yeah.
At the moment. So Mitchell is a starter at the moment, and as soon as Van Arnold as soon as Van Arnold, Sak, all of those guys come in, those guys are dropped. So that's what I'm saying. Evaluate for a few game weeks and then make the correct decisions. And that's what just to rebut Sagar, what he was saying. You have a team to last a period of games. And that's the reason why I said make the ballsy moves up front and play the wild card early. Because when I do play my wild card, it's going to last me for about 10-15 games. But I would have completely evaluated the teams and the players that I can get in. I mean, a lot of the players that are getting these price increases, you don't even know whether you're going to start. I mean, even Willian, right? I'm not certain he's going to start the next game for Arsenal.
Yeah, and that talks to what we spoke about in the pre-season fantasy show. With the condensed season, with games coming quick and fast, starters are not always known. But going back to your boys, United and City, I do think you need to get at least one player from each of them into your team. If you had to pick two of them from City and United, who would that be? One from each club.
The penalty takers, man. De Bruyne and Fernandes.
Quick and easy. That's it for you, listeners. If you're looking for two players to get in, both highly priced. De Bruyne is at 11.5. Might be even getting a price increase quite soon. Fernandes, 10.5. Good. Maybe some other options.
That's a bargain buy.
The likes of Rashford, priced much lower. Martial, up front.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Both. If I could, I would. Definitely. Especially having Martial in your team. If you can't get Martial in, if you're having doubts about Wagner, that's a good move to make.
Kai is talking wildcard. Do you think wildcard is worth the play right now?
Nah, I want to watch 2 or 3 games before I play one. I do also like to play.
Yeah, so you're agreeing with me then not to make any moves.
No. yeah, I said I'm not making any changes. I'm happy with myself. Happy.
You as well, Kai? Happy with your team, or any advice to the listeners going into Game Week 2?
I'm happy with my team, and as I said, all of them start, all of them get the points that they're supposed to. I mean, I didn't even captain Salah, and I got almost 70 points. So, I mean, obviously, I'm doing something right. But going to what you asked, Gur, for me, De Bruyne is the only person that I would have in the City side. No one else. You don't know how he's going to rotate that side. The only guy that's got a guaranteed start is De Bruyne. And I disagree with the Bruno signing. I don't think he's going to have the season that he did, especially if Pogba plays and Van Beek over there. It seems like he drops back and there's a give and go thing when there's 2 inverted comma 10s in the role. So when he, like last season when you saw against when he played with Pogba, he didn't have the effect that he had when he was playing in that lone role 10. So I don't know if he's going to be the same Bruno that we've seen. I know that United are going to be a better team than what they were last season, but I don't know if the player is going to be fantasy royalty like how he was. And I also don't think he's going to be on penalties as much as he did last season. Rashford looks like he's going to be the man.
Yeah. But I think it's quite clear. Both of you are saying the same tune, a little bit differently. So listeners, I think the advice from the Crab Net is hold back on the finger bashing on the transfer button. It might be time for you to just sit back, watch how the next game week unfolds before you start making major changes to your team, unless you've seen some really bad numbers in game week 1 where clearly you don't have enough starters to get a decent result over game week 2. But yeah, hang in there. If you've got a good points tally, game week 2 will give you a lot more indication of what to expect in the season going forward. Yes, boys, that brings an end to our show. Hope you'll enjoy this one. We always bring fresh opinions on the net, and both Gur and Kai, thanks a lot for giving us your time again.
No worries, man. We're good.
Short, Raj.
Short, boys, and good luck to your boys. They kicking their first ball for the season this coming weekend.
Really starts.
It
was like an empty feeling last week.
Yeah, we heard some guys saying that
Saga,
it was Charity Shield weekend.
Why did they play a friendly if they were supposed to be tired on the same day? I don't get that one. And it was almost a full team. Almost a full team.
I think just to keep the legs fresh, they probably played as half.
Yeah. Remember, preseason is still requires some match practice as well. So it was good to see some of them get some game time under their belt. But thanks a lot, boys. Great show, listeners. Hope you enjoyed it. As we do on the Crab Net, we're analyzing the game. We're analyzing the football and the life behind the football. Today we spoke a bit about the media. So catch this episode on our channels, both Facebook, YouTube. Hit that like button, smash that like button on YouTube, subscribe to us to follow our content. Hope you're enjoying it. We're really loving the conversations. And as we always say, if you like to be on the show, pop us a comment, pop us an email, let us know. And we're always welcoming fresh opinions on the net. This is what we're all about. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the Crab Net Show. Till the next time, over and out. We get our drink on, we going out tonight, we get our smoke on.